Be tough. We have a lot of texts to get to, but Jake Gadon is joining us. Let me talk to my boss here. So are we going straight through with Jake, or is Jake going to hang out with us through a break? All right, we're going to keep powering through with Jake Gadon, who joins us.
Straight out of a workout right now.
That's right, straight out of it. So what were you working? What did you have today? Leg day?
No. It was back and buys day.
Back and buys?
But we just
doing squats?
We do squats. It's just I did that yesterday.
Squats.
So today was
squatting. You're still squatting, huh?
Oh, 100%.
You're still out here squatting,
and then I just ran 2 miles as well. So just rocking and rolling. We got to stay
humble brag.
We got to stay fit for our job. Alan, all right.
No, I hear you. They might need you.
Yeah,
they
one time.
Need you at the three.
Maybe not at the Golden One Center, but Sutter Health Park. I think me and you could suit up.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Joined by Jake Gadon, CBS 13. So Jake, you were at shoot around today.
Yep.
Was there anything that stuck out to you? I know they had a lot of availability yesterday, and you had Markelle Fultz speak for the first time, and obviously Zach LaVine. Anything that stuck out to you today in shoot around to make you feel better, or maybe not as good about the game tonight?
I think vibes are good. That's the one thing I keep on harping on. I think about this in a contextual way of even any business, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a new employee
right.
at your business,
mm-hmm.
right, how are they going to fit in with the synergy of what you've already built, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you have a lot of employees working through the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
I think the same process can be thought of when you go to add to a basketball team or a baseball team or a football team. Football team is big, but basketball team specifically, you have 12 guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does the 4 guys, how does synergy work? Are they on the same page? Do they like to hang out with each other? Do they like to be with each other?
Right.
I think the synergy and the vibes were good today. We saw Valanciunas and LaVine get with it a little bit. I think our good friend Sean Cunningham from Fox 40 put a video out there from it this morning. I think vibes are good. I think the biggest question mark that I'm worried about, and I think a lot of people are worried about, is how is this team going to gel for the final, month and a half of the season? And that's a big question that everyone has. For me, I'm not a guy that's going to completely jump off the bandwagon and say this is a bad move and everything like that. I think everything takes time, and that's what we're going to find out over the next couple of weeks.
Well, it's interesting for trade deadlines. If you look at what most teams do, right, you look at a first option or a second option. If you're moving a first option or second option, it is you making a decision that you are probably going in a different direction, right? And we know, thoughts go out to Victor Wembanyama, but we know that the Spurs, they made the move for De'Aaron Fox. That's not really for this season. That's for the future. The Lakers, now this can be two-sided. So the Lakers, they make a move, which they could go for it all this season, but it's more so for the future. Luka, 25 years old. On the other side, the Timberwolves made a move to then go for it all this season. But you don't typically see the Kings. They moved. I mean, let's think about it. They're essentially their first option. You can go back and forth with Domantas Sabonis, but a version of their closer. So they moved their first option. They moved their coach, right? Or they changed coaches. So a lot more movement. There's just a lot of movement in this trade deadline. But a lot of movement with the Kings. So to make all that gel, and even within that movement, Malik Monk into the starting lineup. So, it's not a normal measuring stick for, even when the Lakers did it a couple years ago, that wasn't their first and second option. That was guys that could help. The PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford with the Mavericks, not their first and second option. So I don't really know what to expect. It's a short period of time for the amount of moves that the Kings have made.
I agree with you, and I think you're fast forwarding with what you wanted to do. You had this core that you thought was going to be Keegan, Domantas, and Fox, right? And now we've moved off of that, where it looks like now it's going to be Sabonis, Keegan, maybe DeMar, maybe Zach LaVine,
right?
You don't have this core anymore. They put all their chips into the pile. I think something that I don't think it's talked about more. Mm-hmm. Is I think this roster is more talented top to bottom than it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think there is much more depth in what they had. The thing that they had 2 years ago was a little bit more chemistry. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking at this team compared to what they have on paper from 2 years ago when they made that playoff push to this year, I think the talent, there's more talent there. I think putting it all together is what the conversation is about. I think they can do it, though, Allen. I know you said that this is the year of change, right? It's literally the year of change within Sacramento.
Yeah.
You fire your head coach, you get rid of the star player that was the most tenured guy on your roster. The people are calling for the GM and the assistant GM to be fired. People are asking Vivek what's going on a consistent basis. I think when you look at this team, then this next week, these first 5 games will tell you what this team's going to be like down the stretch. 2 years ago, when they made the playoff push, they went 5-0 the first 5 games.
Yeah.
I think if they can go 4-1 and maybe drop the game tonight, and then win 4 straight, I think you're in a great situation. I'm worried about that stretch on the road or at home where they have to play I think
Boston, Milwaukee, New York, I think.
Yeah, it's just that's a gauntlet of a schedule.
Yeah.
If you can go 500, the way I'm looking at this, and let me just, I'm throwing a picture out here for you. Okay, let me throw the picture. Okay, you go 4-1 in the first 5 games. You go 500 in the next 12 to 15, and then there's that last East Coast swing plus 3 games at home, where I think that's like an 8-game, 9-game stretch. I think if you go 7-2 or 6-3 in that time, you'll be looking at a 7 or 6 seed, maybe an 8 seed if you go a little worse than that.
Yeah.
I don't think this top 10 is changing, Allen. I think it's the order may change. I think Dallas might dip a little bit because of the injuries. I think the Kings, if they get hot, they can bump up. I'm also looking at Houston right now. They weren't playing great before the break at all. And I think they need to find their offense again, maybe a little bit of their swagger. Minnesota is the wild card. You just don't know what Anthony Edwards is.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was telling people about this is the week where one injury changes the whole entire playoff landscape. Remember last year with Malik and Kevin, right? Like the vibes were high, and then the minute Malik went down, you had no punch off the bench, and they had no bench depth, and then Kevin got hurt. I think this next 2 weeks will decide what the playoffs are going to look like. I know Victor Wembanyama is the big name right now, but you got to remember the Spurs were 2.5 games out of the playoffs. So it's someone in that playoff race that's going to get hurt. We'll see who it is. Brandon Benitez was joking with me. He's like, what if Zach LaVine gets hurt? I was
don't even.
I was like, well, that may not hurt the Kings, though, because that might solve half the issues that they're talking about right now. But we don't want that. We don't wish any ill will on a King.
Yes, I'd rather see Chicago Zach LaVine.
Yes.
And just kind of go from there. Let's talk about this, though.
Shoot.
Chris Biederman was on the show yesterday, and he talked about, I've been operating in the landscape of this year and the end of this season and next season. Chris Biederman thought that if they don't do well this season, you got to take that?
No.
All right. Hey, you're a busy guy. I'm glad you're joining us.
I'm trying to confirm some news. There's always news breaking here in Sacramento.
Got Woj in the building talking to Jake Gadon from CBS 13. And Chris Biederman was talking about if they don't go to the playoffs this season, this whole thing could blow up.
Yes.
What you're saying, though, and having all this talent in the building, I think I agree with you, but I have no clue if they're going to get enough time to see what they could be. So the Beam team, they kind of rocked and roll with what they are. If they don't make the playoffs, how confident are we? De'Aaron said it a couple days ago. There's always change over there. How confident are we that if they don't make the playoffs or they lose in the play-in, whatever the case is, that Monty McNair, whoever it is, says, hey, let's see what we do next season? Or do they try to – I don't even know what the next week would be.
I think what I'm hearing right now is if they don't make the playoffs, be prepared.
Okay.
That's what I'll say. Just be prepared for anything.
Okay.
I think you have an ownership group that wants to win.
What about Doug Christie?
That's the question. That's where I'm sitting here like, I don't know. Because, okay, let's run through the scenarios, right? You fire Monty and you fire Wes, okay? Yeah. When you have a GM, doesn't he want to bring in a GM that aligns with what your head coach wants to do? Try to do that 2 years ago with Mike and Monty. Apparently that was not a marriage made in heaven at all. I think there were some significant differences in how they wanted to run their teams or run this specific team and the roster construction and everything with that. But that's my question. If they fire Monty and fire Wes, I don't know if Doug will be able to be retained or will be retained.
Crazy, though.
It's not because he doesn't deserve it. It's because the guy, if you have a guy that has a vision for the team and what he wants to put his staple and his mark on things.
But everything that we've heard about Doug, right, the investment that they've made in Doug, making it through, he was a part of 2 different coaching groups that typically doesn't happen, 2 coaching staffs, to just kind of waste all of it with more than half a season, but a tumultuous season where you lose your star player. Just
Don't
seems
call it
like
tumultuous, though. They're still competing. They're one game over
it
500.
It is. Is it volatile? Is that a better word?
Volatile is a great word. I like that. Tumultuous makes it seem like it's all been doom and gloom, and everyone forgets about the 7-game winning streak. That's the one thing I cannot.
Jake, that's the only thing to make it not tumultuous.
Yeah, but you can't. This fan base needs to realize. Okay, I'm a Knicks fan. Do you know how many years it was bad in New York? Of how it was just frustrating.
Yeah.
You have an owner that wants to win, Allen. Right. You have a fan base.
Who has an owner that wants to win?
Kings.
Okay, but I think the conversation has been how much
does he want to win? I think, but he does want to win.
And I don't want to say that it's not all.
Care.
That is interesting. I mean, it feels pretty gloomy this season.
It does, and I think the fan base though has also felt doom and gloom.
Yeah,
and I also, I'll say I think there's some media members that keep it doom and gloom on a consistent basis.
Yeah,
I'm a glass half full type of guy. Yeah. I will always be a glass half full type of guy.
Just because your Knicks are playing well.
No, it's not just that. I just think I think that you never know what can happen in sports. You just don't know. Did you call Patrick Mahomes throwing a dud in the Super Bowl 2 weeks ago? No one had that. So are you called?
No, I'm just saying. He was due.
He was due. Don't get me wrong, but you never know what can happen in sports. That's what we love about it. It's live reality TV. Mm-hmm. Don't count out a team until you are 100% positive that they cannot make it and they're completely out of it. I think there's crazier things that have happened in sports. I've seen teams that look doom and gloom in the past 2 weeks of the season when we look at baseball, sneak their way into the playoffs, and then make a massive playoff run and get hot at the right time.
Look, Keegan Murray's engaged now. Okay, Josh Allen, once he got engaged, he won MVP.
I need to get dating advice from Keegan.
Hey.
He's doing something right that I'm not.
That's right. So,
and
his splits after 2025 or after the start of 2025 have been ridiculous. All right, before we get you out of here, you came in during final predictions.
Okay.
So we need your final prediction. What we need is the seed that they end in.
Okay.
And how it ends for the Kings.
Kings are going to seed it themselves in the 7th seed. They're going to win the play-in game.
Jake.
And they're going to play Denver or Memphis in the first round.
This guy
lose. All right.
I was gonna say, let's just send them all the way to the Western Conference Finals.
I think they make the 7th or 8th seed. They win that first game.
Oh, get out of here!
Who we got
this
here?
This guy said, "Go Warriors."
No,
I said what's up, but no.
7th or 8th seed. Mm-hmm. And if they get a 9th seed, so be it. But this is me being the optimist that I am. 7th or 8th seed, they'll get this. They get in, and they'll play either. I don't think it's going to be Houston. It's going to be Denver or Memphis in that first round. And they'll lose round. Now, if it's Denver, though, they get swept. If it's Memphis, I think it's 5 or 6 games. If they get Houston somehow or another and they get into that 2nd seed again, like they were a couple weeks ago, that can go 7.
Yeah.
I could see. It's all about matchups.
Yeah.
I can tell you one thing, though. Okay. If they get the 8th seed, they will be swept by the OKC Thunder.
Yes,
that's no question about it.
That's the one to avoid.
I still think they're making the playoffs.
Okay.
I think they are. I really do think
well,
they
look,
are.
the theme of the show was optimism, and Jake is helping us out with the optimism. Jake,
hey, happy Friday, my guy. We'll see you at the game tonight.
Hey,
all right?
go on another 2-mile run. I know you got to get another one in. You're doing 2-a-days right now.
I'm going to do a protein shake first. Is that okay?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes. Peanut butter?
Yeah. How'd you know? Peanut butter, banana, strawberry, a little protein in it. Beautiful.
There you go.
Chef's
Jake
kiss,
Gadon. Check him out on CBS 13. Be sure to also follow him on social media. Great stuff from Jake. He's on TikTok too. He's on all of them. We got the new media going on.
Trying to. Okay.
There you go. That's Jake Gadon on the other side. It's time for some prop talk and dog segment. Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.